समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
There is outrage in India after it was revealed that an Indian citizen from Arunachal Pradesh was detained and harassed for 18 hours at the airport in Shanghai. After India issued a strong warning to Beijing, China is now making matters worse, claiming that it never recognized Arunachal Pradesh to begin with. This after India made it very, very clear that Arunachal Pradesh was and is indisputably a part of India. This happened after Prema Thongdok from Arunachal Pradesh, an Indian citizen who works and lives in London, was detained for 18 hours in Shanghai. In a moment from now, we'll be talking to her to hear firsthand the harrowing experience that she went through. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, the ordeal faced by a private citizen, Prema Thongdok, has led to a major diplomatic battle between India and China. Prema Thongdok shared the harrowing experience, the nightmarish experience that she was subjected to at the airport in Shanghai, where not just was she detained for 18 hours, but she was told that her passport, which is Indian, is not valid. And an officer at the airport even told her that she should be regarded as Chinese. Prema Thongdok lives and works in London, but she's from the West Kameng district in Arunachal Pradesh, where she still has family. As the consulate in Shanghai was made aware of what was happening, they immediately sprang to Prema's help and made an intervention. Soon after, India issued a strong démarche to China. China is now showing a brazen counter response, claiming that it does not recognize Arunachal Pradesh to be a part of India. This after India issued a strong warning saying that Arunachal Pradesh is indisputably a part of India. Joining us now is Prema Thongdok. She is somebody who has very graciously agreed, even in the midst of recovering from this trauma, agreed to talk to us. Thank you, Prema. I really appreciate your time. Tell us what happened. As far as you were concerned, you had transited through this airport before, so there was no issue with your paperwork, no issue at all. And suddenly you found yourself being treated in a way that singled you out, that was discriminatory, that was unprofessional, and that became an absolute nightmare. Tell us what happened.
Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. So, actually, I do travel a lot. I enjoy traveling, and I obviously am well aware of the rules. I work in the financial services industry, actually in the regulatory side wing of financial services. So I am well aware that there are rules that you have to follow. And that's the nature of my job as well, where I advise clients on financial matters and regulations around that. So because it was my first time transiting through China last year, in the 16th of October, in fact, 2024, I thought, it's worthwhile, even if Google, when you Google, it says that you don't need a transit visa. I wanted to be sure, and I called up the a Chinese embassy, and they confirmed that as long as your travel is well within 12 to 24 hours, I don't exactly remember how long, because my transit was only going to be 2 or 3 hours anyway. And I did so travel very conveniently last year, and there was no issues, no questions asked. So this incident that happened a couple of days ago on the 21st of November, when I landed in Shanghai, seems just like a pick and choose harassing moment for me, because obviously I had followed the same route before. And I went past the immigration gates quite easily and was stood in the queue for the security check when one of the immigration officers from Shanghai airport came and asked me to come out of the line and basically singled me out of the queue and took me to the counter, immigration counter, the manual counter. On numerous questioning, they finally, she kind of pointed at my passport where it says Arunachal. My apologies. And mentioned that Arunachal, part of China, not India, India, your passport invalid. So that was quite confusing because I have been to about 58 countries, and everywhere else, Indian passport has been rightly recognized. There has not been a single instance where I have had any issues transiting or producing my Indian document, the Indian passport, as a valid document for travel. But clearly, the immigration at Shanghai mentioned that transit is not the issue. The issue is you don't have a valid document at all to travel because Arunachal is part of China, and you should be holding a Chinese passport. This document is invalid. On further, questioning, she would just ignore and basically not speak much. And then there was another immigration officer who came, and she was trying to take me from one part of the airport to the other. And I tried to question her as well. And I said, "What is the issue? I have a valid visa for Japan because I was traveling for my holidays between London Gatwick Airport to Japan via Shanghai as a transit for 3 hours." And she outrightly started mocking me and laughing and saying, "Why don't you apply for a Chinese passport?" As if they would give me a citizenship in 3 hours and I could fly out of the country with a Chinese passport. Obviously, that was more of a mockery and a remark rather than an actual statement, because obviously they don't intend to, and she did not give me any forms or anything as such. Just saying, you're from Arunachal, it's China territory, you're not from India. And quite concerning now to see the Chinese statement that came up a couple of hours ago, where they have said Arunachal Pradesh is in fact legal setup by India, which is quite strange, but that further confirms the malign treatment and their detention, that basically they did claim that Arunachal is part of China when it clearly isn't. Undisputably, it has been an Indian territory and will continue to remain so. I don't have any voting rights or land or property rights or any other public access to public funds in China. I've always been a proud Indian citizen and will continue to be so.
And it's important to say at this point that though you have lived and worked for 14 years in London, as you just said that you've always been a proud Indian citizen, you have never actually given up your passport or your citizenship.
Exactly. I mean, I went there as a student, so I studied in Sri Ram College of Commerce, economics honors, and then went on to do my master's in the UK, and then even pursuing another master's equivalent for career development, basically to help alongside my work. So I have actually been a student, then been a highly skilled immigrant, therefore turning from a tier 2 visa to a tier 4 visa as a worker there, and on a work visa, and then gaining residency. So maybe, I mean, at this point, something that I would like to urge the Indian government is basically if we could also, like many other countries, have the ability to hold a dual citizenship, because I could have changed and avoided this entire situation if I held a British passport, but somehow I'm attached to my country and I have been holding on to my Indian passport over the last 5 years, when I could actually have gone ahead and got myself a British citizenship, and that would have not caused any issues. So that's probably one of the requests to the government to look into.
But I think it's important to also focus on the fact that all these years, while you had the chance to, you never actually took the citizenship of the United Kingdom. You remained proudly Indian. You remain proudly Indian. So when you heard the Chinese Foreign Ministry say, as you said just a couple of hours ago, that we don't even recognize Arunachal Pradesh to be part of India, what would you say to them? Arunachal Pradesh is your home. You still have family there. You come from the Rupa area in Arunachal Pradesh. Can you, what would you say when you hear somebody from China say
It
that
is
in such a public
absolutely
fashion?
ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. I mean, we have never been a part of China and will probably never be. I don't see how they can claim such things because we don't even speak C of Chinese. We don't have anything in common with them. We speak Shuddh Hindi, even if it's the northeast part of India. And in fact, if they so claim that Arunachal is their part, can they at least tell me what Arunachal means if it's part of China? Because I don't think they even know what Arunachal means. And in fact, Arunachal is the first state and the first part of India that the sun rises in. So that's exactly why India has named it as Arunachal. So it's quite a ludicrous comment. I think it's just claims, and there are no facts to it. There was no proper documentation they provided to state how and at what point in time
Absolutely.
had India given up Arunachal to them.
Never. Not happen, never going to happen. Let me ask you this. How did you manage to get out? I know that you also said that there was no Google because it was China. The usual internet apps were blocked. Your access to information was also limited. How did you manage to reach the Indian consulate in Shanghai? They detained you for 18 hours after you'd already been traveling many hours. You were not given access to food. You were treated basically, like dirt. You were not treated properly.
Yeah,
How
literally.
did you manage to get help?
So it was quite alarming because I kept asking them for help to help me connect, but there was no way I could connect to WhatsApp or any of the social media platforms. Or in fact, my family didn't know for the 12-hour flight and then another 10 hours. Nobody knew where I was. Obviously, my family was concerned, but more than trying to get my line to speak to my family, I thought it's most important I get this message across to the Indian embassy at least, because perhaps they could come and help me to explain to them that I have a valid passport and I have a valid visa to Japan. And it's just, on claims that they're saying that my passport is not valid, whereas all the other countries that I've been to have clearly accepted an Indian passport as a valid form of document. So after about 10 hours or so, because the first 4 hours or so, I kept going up to them and asking politely, but they would just like dismiss me or be mocking and laughing among themselves, calling Arunachal, no, 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 India, okay, only China, China. So that kind of comments, and then basically I kind of given up actually, and I just sat there waiting to hear something from them. And they said, you either go back to your country or go back to UK. Now it's completely inhuman. After 12-hour flight, holding me up to 10, at that point around 12 hours, and then asking me to take another flight 12 hours back to UK. So obviously the most plausible option for me was to head back to India. But on what grounds? Because I have valid visa, I have the ability to move across. I think there's also something called the Montreal and Chicago Convention, which basically are around the aviation rules. And there was nothing they could actually show me in written, or basically a law that says that Indians born in Arunachal cannot transit. So, and obviously they held my passport for the entire time and wouldn't give it back to me. So I called friends in London, and basically they helped me to look up Google for Indian Embassy. And I contacted the Indian Embassy, and very kindly IFS officer Mr. Rajat and his team came over within an hour of the phone call. They in fact even got me food, which was very kind of them, because I had been detained for so long that there was no access to food, or they wouldn't even let me go to the the airport terminals where I can buy food. And it was even after the Indian officials came, they were very persistent. They would not listen to them and not let them agree to letting me go forward on my onward journey, to the extent that They in fact forced me to buy tickets for India via China Eastern Airline only, which was like 2-3 times more the
They forced
price
you to
as
buy tickets to India via China.
China
I
Eastern
mean, you
only.
were
So
already in
that's the
China, but
airline.
yeah, sorry, yeah. They forced you to basically
So
travel a Chinese airline to get to India.
China Eastern Airline, yes. So there were so many other tickets, much cheaper, and I said, as long as I'm out of the country, that should be okay. But they specifically said you have to go back to UK or to India, and they forced me to buy only China Eastern Airline. Now the funny thing about this whole ordeal is, it was China Eastern Airline that I flew with from London. So if at all they had an issue with my passport, they should have helped me at London airport, not made me fly there and then detained me for 18 hours. So it's a negligence and a due diligence problem from the airline itself as well. And how can you trust an Indian
As an
airline that
Yeah,
made a mistake in
absolutely.
the first place to
As an
use that
Indian,
airline again?
yes, sorry. As an Indian, going through this bullying and humiliation, really, did you feel scared or did you feel angry or a mix of both?
I didn't feel scared. It just was a very confusing and a humiliating event, because to call my homeland, where I've been, where we sing Janagana Man since we were born, and I've always only known my homeland to be part of India, and to have all of that you've grown up with taken away in a moment with false claims by China is absolutely ludicrous. Like it's not acceptable. I don't know on what grounds they can hold an Indian national holding a completely valid Indian passport and be dismissing them on grounds of where you were born, especially when I'm not even a resident of India, and especially when I'm not even an important person or a government official to be able to make any comments on such an important diplomatic issue. It's a geopolitical issue. You're talking about land and moving boundaries in a flimsy, like it's nothing. It was just very confusing and very disturbing at the same time, that how can you expect such important matters to be discussed with a normal citizen, when it is a very big diplomatic matter, which they should, if they have an issue, should speak to the government.
Absolutely. Uh, well, I just want to ask you in the end, you have also said that you should be compensated for the distress you have been put through. Are you planning to sue China or the Chinese government or the Shanghai airport?
I actually have no idea how, but if it is possible, I would like to explore the option. Uh, but yes, I think here it's more than the financial loss. It's also, how excited you are about exploring a new country and you just get caught up. And obviously, the kind of humiliating comments and unprofessional behavior of the staff, both at the China Eastern Airline and the immigration officers. I don't know how it can even be compensated, but of course, if there is a way to basically get a compensation, that's not my aim here. In fact,
I
my
know.
aim
It's
here
the
is just
principle.
for
It's the principle. It's the principle.
exactly.
But
And a lot of it's quite shameful and painful for my family, because I'm okay with people trolling on the internet, but they have been writing so much stuff about, like, she's only trying to make I don't know, compensation or
oh,
seeking government help. I mean, it doesn't affect me, but it affects my mother, and that is quite painful, because all I'm doing is to raise awareness and to fight for Indians who are traveling across the world. There's
yeah,
so many of us highly skilled individuals who travel for work or for, even for leisure. And it's to make people aware that such problems exist, despite China, shaking hands with us in the forefront, but doing such things in the in the background with citizens. So it's more to raise awareness and to protect the rights of an Indian, to basically make our government known that Indians are facing such problems, and being outrightly told that your land is theirs.
that's right. As you said, this is your homeland where you have grown up singing Jana Gana Man. You have worked and lived in London for 14 years, and because you love India, your country, you have never given up your passport. And I want to say to you, ignore the trolls. I think you have done India proud by speaking up as a proud and confident young Indian woman, and you make us proud for raising your voice, and more power to you. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Pema. Take care and safe onward journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.